Hi Libra, welcome to your July 2018 tarot reading. We have a 10 card Celtic cross in front of us, and then I also pulled an oracle card to help tie everything together at the end. So let's go through the cards one by one. In the main situation, you have the Judgment card in reverse. This is one of my major arcana cards for Scorpio, along with the Death card. That's the first card for Scorpio, and I view this one as the Rebirth card. That's what the Scorpio 8th house is known for, death and rebirth. So when it's in reverse, that could be saying that something you were hoping to get off the ground again isn't happening, or so it could be anything. Let's say you're trying to get a relationship back off the ground again and it's not happening. Could be maybe you reapplied for a job you had in the past and received word that you won't get the job. It could be anything, a creative project that you're trying to get off the ground again and it's just not happening. So there's a few different ways it can go. With the challenger obstacle position being the Ace of Swords, I feel that you will receive communication telling you that you're not going to get that new start. So whatever it is, like I said, employment that you reapplied for, an old job, you might receive word you didn't get the job, or it could even be something that you might have applied for in the past and didn't get the job and then reapplied recently because the job opened up again. It's still saying you won't necessarily get that job. But yeah, to me, with this as the challenger obstacle, if it's you that, for example, maybe someone wants to get something restarted with you, that could certainly be the case. And your challenge is to communicate to them that you're not interested. So it could, going back to obviously, it could be a romantic relationship where an ex is coming back around. We're going to have Mercury retrograde towards the end of the month, so it's certainly possible that you could have exes coming back with that type of energy. Or it could be, like I said, maybe an employer is reaching out to you again. Maybe they gave the job to someone else and then that didn't work out. And now they're coming back to you asking you if you're still interested. And you might be like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks, because for whatever reason you have something else going on. In the position of the foundation, we have Eight of Wands. So this could just be saying that there's a lot of communication going back and forth, maybe regarding this. Like I said, if it's you contacting someone trying to get something restarted and they're telling you that they're not interested or vice versa, it seems like there's going to be a lot of communication either way. Could just be that maybe that's saying that that's what you need to do is communicate as well, like I said, with that being a challenge. But yeah, either way, looks like it's saying either you should be communicating a lot or there will be a lot of communication. Alright, in the past position we have the Hangman. So this is a card that I often view as a Pisces card, but I also see it as obviously seeing things from a different perspective. You could see this person's hung upside down, and then they have that light around their head, which could be saying that they're getting enlightenment by looking at things from a different angle. And it's worth pointing out that the Ace of Swords is pointing right to that. So maybe this is saying that in the past you realized that whatever someone was trying to get off the ground with you again, maybe intuitively you decided, yeah, I don't think that would be a good idea. Or vice versa. In the present position, we have the Ace of Pentacles. So this could be a new offer. So maybe that's what's going on too. Maybe your old employer reached out to you. Maybe you were the one who applied for that old job, but then a new offer came along and maybe the old employer did accept your application, but you ended up getting another offer that you thought would be better. So you have to communicate to them that, yeah, you know what, I got another offer, so I'm actually not going to accept that job. That could be difficult for Libra sometimes to make decisions one way or the other in that regard. Not always, but sometimes. Mostly because you want to be fair to everyone. In the near future position, we have the Five of Pentacles. This is often a card that we call the being left out in the cold, or at least feeling that way. It could point to financial difficulties or actual relationship difficulties as well. I sometimes call this the for better or worse card because it looks like these people are together, but obviously they're going through some tough times. This usually to me points to a Saturn and Venus combination energy, where this is actually a Taurus card. And then to me, I view this as Saturn transiting to Taurus, which Taurus is ruled by Venus. So anyone who's had a Saturn transit to their Venus can vouch for the fact that that could bring financial difficulty and relationship difficulties. But with this in the near future, it could just be saying maybe if you're in transition, maybe you just recently had a job end or a relationship end, and yes, you have a new offer, but right now, especially if it's financial, okay, yes, you got accepted for a new job, but you're going to have that in between time where you're still a little low on funds until you start getting the checks for the new job. That could be what that's saying. In the position of self or your influence on the situation, we have the Ten of Rods. So this could just be saying that you've been putting in a lot of work and you're feeling the burdens of it. It could be, again, going back to you feeling left out in the cold. Maybe you've asked for a pay raise because you've been working really hard and you feel like you're not seeing the benefits of it. It could even be the fact that you have been working so hard that if it was a relationship that fell apart, maybe that was why. Maybe the person that you were with was feeling left out in the cold because you were so heavily focused on working. This doesn't always have to be work. It is fire energy and it's a Sagittarius card. And usually Pentacles, we view Pentacles as work, but to me this definitely just has that energy. Someone who's working really hard at something. It doesn't necessarily have to be work. It could be creative projects you're working on, anything along those lines, school. But whatever the case may be, you could see the person has just so much going on they can't even see what's in front of them. And yeah, sometimes that does pay off, especially with the tens. That usually means something coming to an end. So it could be an end of the hard work and maybe you'll start to see the rewards. But in the between time, that could lead to some difficulties. And we do have the Two of Wands at the bottom of the deck too, which is pointing to wanting to start something new. So maybe you're feeling this way, and maybe that was what made you want to leave the job that you were in, and you got a new offer. And maybe that's where this is coming from, that transition period, but you just found that it was just too much to take on, and you're ready to move on to the next thing. In the position of the environment, we have the Five of Swords in reverse. This is technically an Aquarius card, so you could be dealing with an Aquarius who's maybe you were fighting with them in the past and now they've given up that fight. Could just be saying that there was a lose-lose battle in the past and you're coming out of that energy now. Maybe your friends are trying to help you get over that situation. But yeah, it could just be that someone's not putting up a fight. So maybe you feel like, let's say it is a relationship, and maybe this is why you're turning down the offer if they're coming back around trying to get back, because you feel like you've been carrying all the weight and they haven't been putting up a fight and doing their part. That could certainly be the case. Now, again, like I said, usually Libra is one of your things you're known for is fairness. So it's understandable if you would feel that way. You might feel like, hey, I'm putting in all the work here and you're not doing anything on your end. So maybe that caused that strain and that's why you're feeling in that energy right now. But a couple of cards here pointing to a new start. So maybe that just wasn't for you, or maybe you just needed a break. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Nine of Cups. This is often referred to as the wish card. It's a Pisces card. Doesn't always have to be wish fulfillment, but I mean, obviously you could see the person looks content. They have the 9 cups behind them. And to me, the way I do kind of see that as far as it being wish fulfillment is it's not so much your wish is being fulfilled, it's more that you're comfortable with where you're at. And then that can sometimes bring things to you. When you're happy with yourself, that you can draw in more happiness. So maybe that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping to be content. You want to just feel good about yourself and where you're at. And then that will in turn draw more abundance to you. The good thing about that, if that's the case, in the outcome card, we have the strength card, and that's the major arcana card for Leo. So it could be saying towards the end of the month, when we get into the Leo energy, you're going to be feeling stronger and more like yourself, um, back in control of things. Sometimes I see this as controlling the ego, for example, and that alone can help us out in day-to-day situations. If you were getting into ego conflicts, especially the Five of Swords, that could be an ego conflict, an indicator of that. So if that's the case, now you're just in control of that, and maybe just accepting things as they are. But yeah, to me, this could just be saying, especially, this could even be health issues. Obviously, you see the person with the crutches there. So it could be saying that maybe you're just going through a rough patch right now, judgment in reverse and everything. Maybe you were not feeling too well. Maybe because you were just so busy with work and really wore yourself down in one way or another. You were just pushing yourself too hard. And then it's saying by the end of the month, you should be feeling a lot better, which is definitely a good thing. All right, and let's take a look at the Oracle card. So the card is Unfinished Symphony. So that seems, at least on the surface, it seems to contradict the Judgment in Reverse, which is saying that something won't be restarted, but we'll see what the messages say. There's the artwork for it. And then it's number 10, if that's of any significance to you. And this is from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed. So we'll go through the messages and recap the reading after that. All right, so it says essential meanings: unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closure, the need to make amends. The Oracle's message: this is a time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle or project and mastery of a lesson or skill. Before you can move forward, it's important that you come to terms with where you are now. Practice radical acceptance. Take inventory so that emotional and psychological closure can occur and the answers you seek will be found. You can't move forward if you are leaving things unfinished. Reflect on what has passed so the symphony can finally end on a high note. So even though it does say Unfinished Symphony, it does still say that most likely what has ended was meant to end, but maybe it's just saying that you lack closure right now. So maybe it's saying in order to get the Judgment in the upright, you need to communicate, so that's why that's in the challenge position. Maybe you have just been thinking all of these things, but you haven't actually spoken about them with the other person, whether it's, like I said, a job, could have been a friendship, relationship. It could really go either way because there's different energies on the table here. They don't seem to point in one direction or another. There's really not many cup cards other than in the hopes position. There's a lot of wands and pentacles, so could have been a work thing, definitely, without a doubt. So, maybe you just need to ask them if they did let you go. If you were laid off, maybe just ask them what the reasoning was behind it. Or if you applied for a job and got turned down, maybe you just need to ask them why that was the case. All right, for those of you, if this did resonate as more of a relationship reading, here's the message for that. Moving on is difficult when love lingers, things are left unsaid, and you haven't had the opportunity for closure in your relationship and in your heart. You can still feel bound up in relationships when closure is denied you. It's important to achieve this for yourself. Write that letter, make that call, or have that conversation over a cup of coffee. For peace of mind, accept matters as they are, make amends if need be, and declare your feelings, even if only to yourself. Be clear about what was left unresolved, and close The door on the past so you can set yourself free. Only then can new love blossom. So that certainly can tie in with the energies we're seeing in this reading as well. Maybe that's what it's saying is there is a potential for a new offer here that can end up being your wish fulfillment, but until you truly wrap this up, maybe you're carrying that burden of the relationship falling apart and all the things you have unsaid. Maybe you've certainly thought them through and you know exactly how you feel, but maybe just not getting it out there has you feeling this way. And maybe just getting it out there, like it says, even if you just write it down for yourself, even that alone could be therapeutic in a certain way. So maybe that's what you need to do, and then that'll let you move forward, and then that's what's going to help you get into that strength energy towards the end of the month. Okay. And if this is career too, I should point out there's going to be a new moon partial solar eclipse mid-month in your 10th house of Cancer, so it could definitely be saying that you're going to get some kind of new start regarding status, which often is career, but that could be relationships as well. So maybe, okay, you've just been hung up on this relationship ending. You finally get that closure and can move forward and potentially start something new. You'll also have a lunar eclipse in your 5th house towards the very end of the month. So that could point to something regarding relationships as well. So maybe you'd end your time being single around that time and start a new relationship, for example. That could be what happens there. And for those of you, if this resonated more as a financial reading, we'll read the prosperity message. It says, make sure you complete projects now before starting new ones. Perhaps you have created something special that will increase your sense of abundance and bring you opportunities for wealth. However, if you don't see it through, it won't add up to anything but more clutter. Now is the time to put your nose to the grindstone and complete the tasks that have accumulated. Pay your bills, sign the documents, do your filing, hand in an assignment, complete a work of art. Tie up loose ends so you can move forward with surety, knowing you're on the prosperous path and feeling refreshed and excited about the future. So that could be what this is saying. If you have this and it's incomplete right now, it's saying that maybe you need to wrap that up, and then that'll free you up to get more into this energy, which is the Two of Wands, which is trying to start something new. And with the strength card at the end there, you'd have that. So that could be what it's saying too. You have the strength to get this wrapped up. It's just a matter of doing it. And it might feel like a lot's going on right now, but once you finally get that off your plate, the burden is lifted. You'll feel a lot freer and ready to take on the next thing. All right. So that's all the messages I had for this month. So we'll wrap up there, and I'll talk to you all next month. Bye.